where crime meets mystery. Welcome to Crimecaster.
The story of JonBenét Ramsey is a tragedy that continues to resonate with the American public. On December 26, 1996, 6-year-old JonBenét's life was violently cut short, leaving behind a tangled web of mystery, media sensationalism, and a community searching for answers. Despite nearly 3 decades of investigation, the case remains unsolved, casting a long shadow over both the Ramsey family and the broader public consciousness.
JonBenét was born on August 6, 1990, to Patsy and John Ramsey in Boulder, Colorado. She was a bright, cheerful child whose early years were filled with the sparkle of beauty pageants, where she quickly became a rising star. To the world, she was a model of innocence, a young girl with a promising future. But on that cold winter night in 1996, her world came to an abrupt and heartbreaking end. On Christmas night, JonBenét's family gathered for the holiday festivities, unaware that in a matter of hours, their lives would be irrevocably altered. Early the next morning, Patsy Ramsey discovered a disturbing ransom note in her home, demanding $118,000 for her daughter's safe return. But when the police arrived, no child was found. Only a scene that would raise more questions than answers.
JonBenét's lifeless body was discovered later that morning in the basement of the family home.
The scene was puzzling. There were no signs of forced entry, and yet the ransom note seemed genuine. Early reports were contradictory, and the investigators were left trying to piece together a case that seemed more like a tragic puzzle with missing pieces. As news of JonBenét's death broke, the media frenzy erupted. News outlets rushed to report every detail, however minute, of the case. What began as a horrific crime soon transformed into a public spectacle. Speculation ran rampant, and the Ramsey family became the target of intense scrutiny. JonBenét's parents, John and Patsy, were thrust into the spotlight, with the media placing heavy suspicion on them. They were questioned relentlessly by law enforcement, and the press speculated on their potential involvement. Was this a tragic accident, a crime of passion, or something darker? The media machine seemed to churn out more theories than facts. While the media painted a narrative of doubt and suspicion, the police investigation struggled to find concrete evidence. Early on, investigators focused on the possibility of an intruder. The lack of forced entry into the home suggested that someone familiar with the family might have been involved, but the case was anything but straightforward. The ransom note seemed too elaborate for a random criminal, yet no one could identify a suspect. In the years following JonBenét's death, multiple theories emerged, but none were proven beyond reasonable doubt. Was it a crime committed by someone close to the family? Or was the child victim of a stranger who slipped through the Unsolved Case? Investigation continued. Forensic evidence began to play a central role. DNA found at the scene was examined, though it initially failed to point to any particular suspect. Theories continued to evolve, new leads were investigated, and at times the case seemed on the verge of resolution, only to falter due to conflicting evidence and the inability to tie any individual directly to the crime. In 2008, the Boulder District Attorney's Office formally cleared the Ramsey family of any involvement, stating that there was insufficient evidence to charge anyone. But the damage to the family's reputation had already been done, and many questions remained unanswered. Despite the official closure, the JonBenét Ramsey case remains one of the most perplexing cold cases in American history. With the case still unsolved, public interest has only grown over the years, spurred by ongoing media coverage and new theories. In recent years, advances in forensic technology have allowed for the re-evaluation of old evidence, reigniting the case in both the public and investigative spheres. Yet, the question still looms large. What really happened that night in Boulder? Was JonBenét's death the result of a senseless crime? Or is there something more to the story that has yet to be uncovered? For JonBenét Ramsey's family, the loss of their child has been compounded by years of public judgment, media scrutiny, and an inability to find peace. The emotional toll on the Ramseys, particularly on Patsy, who passed away in 2006, and John, who continued to search for justice until his own death in 2020, has been profound. As we reflect on JonBenét's life, it's essential to remember that she was more than just the subject of a tragic case. She was a young girl with dreams, a family who loved her, and a future that was stolen too soon. Nearly 30 years later, JonBenét's story remains one of heartbreak, mystery, and a public thirst for closure. And though the search for answers continues, the one question that may never be fully answered is, who took JonBenét Ramsey's life?
Crime never sleeps, and neither do we. Subscribe and stay tuned for more mysteries.